Welcome to the Realty Plus Real Talk series, where we talk to industry experts to know their honest views and opinions and real facts and figures. And today we have with us Mr. Ashwinder R. Singh. He is the CEO residential for Bhartiya City, and in fact, he has more than 2 decades of experience in Indian real estate sector. Mr. Ashwinder Singh, a very warm welcome to you.
Thank you,
Mr.
Shweta.
Singh, my first question to you is, last year, 2020, in spite of the pandemic, we saw record sales happening in some of the cities. And in fact, there was a huge surge in residential sales. Some of the factors, like incentive by the government for stamp duty and, record, home loan interest rates going low. They are some of the factors, but there are certain other reasons why people were so keen to buy their own properties. And in fact, one of the reports said that 85% were the first time home buyers. So according to you, what were the reasons that we saw such a huge spike in the residential sales?
See, the spike in sales was due to home buyers wanting to move away from current residential locations into sanitized, safe, and secure residential communities. This is something very important, and we need to keep in mind. With the number of tech parks closing down due to the COVID and work from home becoming the new normal, most home buyers, relatively new, which you mentioned, wanted larger, more spacious homes than the current ones they were residing in. This has been an important factor. And another important factor was the RBI stepping in to cut back on mortgage rates, banks offering extended home loans, and cuts on stamp duty, which you mentioned. They all added up in spiking the residential real estate sales during the pandemic.
Okay. Do you also see, kind of an emotional reason because of the pandemic, the entire family living in together? So there was an emotional, decision also to buy their own property.
See, it's like what I feel is that most of the people were staying in small houses. So let's take an example of Mumbai. Now, they would leave in the morning and come back in the evening or sometimes at night, and then that space was okay. And especially if more than one person is working in a house, and suddenly it is work from home, so you have to cook, you have to take care of children. Children are not going to school. You have your elder parents there who are not able to step down, and then you are working and you have your Zoom calls, conference calls. It all became very, very challenging. And I think it was more of an emotional drain
Mhm.
rather than anything else, because you are handling everything at one go in small spaces. And that's where you see, Shweta, that the first time home buyer has really picked up, and that is the strength of the residential real estate industry today. The first time home buyer in the country is so large that the demand is always going to be there. In the last 10 years, what was happening was, one was the sentiment was down. Secondly, everybody made a mistake. There was a lack of proper product design. People didn't understand what kind of homes people are looking at. Are people looking at standalone projects? Are people looking at gated communities? Are they looking at 1,000 square feet, 2,000 square feet? For example, let's look at Gurgaon. Everybody thought that in Gurgaon, nobody is going to look at a home which is less than 2,500 square feet. And that is where the entire slump came, because the person did not have the budget. So the average price of housing became so high in Gurgaon, a market like Gurgaon, that the demand was pushed down, because we were catering, because the developer was catering to a segment that did not need home, and the segment that needed home at a different price point. So, there were a lot of learnings, product design improved, a lot of research happened. And by 2020, a lot of this redesigning had happened, reallocation of, homes had happened, larger homes were becoming smaller. But right now, if you look at it, the demand for larger homes is again increasing.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, you mentioned about the product mismatch. And also you mentioned that pandemic has given some learnings to the developers, to the entire industry. So what as of now, are the new product offerings, and also in terms of processes, the internal processes of the developers, the customer engagement with the developers. So what have been the new learnings that we have taken?
See, I would like to, kind of list 4 5 points in this. One, the sector players have improved on their digital capabilities. They are now more focused on process automation. This is one boon that has happened. Innovation in building spaces with safety and security features taken into consideration. Now, when you start designing, you're looking at safety and security as an important part. Implementation of virtual reality in architectural designs and construction is coming into play. Visual data is at the forefront of inventive and data driven technologies being used in real estate today. You are developing on a plan to push for sales on unsold inventory by converting them now into larger units, which was earlier into smaller units. Because where you had more of smaller units, they are trying to convert into, two 1 BHKs are being made into one 2 BHK, maybe, or 2.5 BHK. Builders have understood the need and growing demand of customers and are working towards building homes that cater to the niche segment of the audience, also like a demand for senior living. New age young population is buying home, which is the first time buyer. So what kind of homes will they require? So a lot of research has happened, and there is a rising demand for student housing units also, Shweta. So it is a combination of lot of things that has played out in the last 1.5 year, which I think is really for the good, because like senior living, student housing are doing very well in the US, in developed economies. And now, maybe, 5 years back it was too early, but in the next 3 4 years you will see a lot of student living. Hopefully the pandemic kind of plays down, but senior living definitely coming into play and people looking for it, especially parents who are staying alone, because in senior living you get medical support, you get amenities, you get your therapist around you. There is an emergency, you can be taken to a hospital. Generally they are made near places where a hospital is there, or there is a tie up with a hospital, especially for NRIs whose parents are staying in India. They are not going to let them stay alone in any standalone building unless and until there is an integrated township. And integrated townships are going to be the way forward. A township which has work to home. You're walking to work. You're having a hotel. You are having a mall. You are having a school. You are having a hospital. It is a 150 acre community living, which is secure, which is safe, which is a city within a city. It has all the infrastructure. So tomorrow, if there is a lockdown kind of situation, you can still move around. You are still not, kind of taken to ransom that what do we do now? So it's going to all end up, human beings are amazing and they kind of come out with the best when there is crisis, because they start innovating. Because the most important instinct of a human being, as you touched upon the emotional angle, the most important instinct of a human being is to survive. Their survival instinct kind of gets them to do all the things and make them to work around making things as comfortable as they can.
That's right. So, as they say, there is opportunity in every crisis. So I think the learnings have been good for the sector. And as you mentioned, these are the growing segments, the senior living and student housing. In fact, we did not realize that this is the segment which needs to be catered to. And now developers are realizing that there is a potential in these segments. In fact, there was, recently the GDP data was released, and the government has revised its forecast of growth to minus 7.3% from minus 8 earlier, which is slightly better. But also on the other hand, we are seeing because of this second wave, a lot of small businesses have got disrupted. The demand has got disrupted. How do you see this entire, on one end, the economy is, forecasted to do slightly better, but on the ground level, we have businesses and demands being disrupted, the sentiments not being so high. How do you see this impacting the real estate sector as a whole and the buyer sentiments as a whole?
See, actually, it's quite a conundrum, Shweta. I feel that given the impact of the second wave, more buyers will want to move into gated communities and secure residential areas, which I mentioned earlier. Prices have been stable, they will continue to be so. And I feel till the end of FY22, the prices I don't think will change much in the real estate sector. Although there may or may not be that much of spike in the buying we saw in the quarter four of 2020, I still feel there is going to be a demand for new homes. You're right. The impact has been on the SME segment, but everyone who was either staying in a compromised situation in a smaller home than what they required, or everyone who was in a rental home where they suddenly felt that they have to pay rents and they are not able to pay rents and they still have some savings, they are going to an asset class which is really important for everybody, especially in a society like ours, where we are all middle class people who have worked hard and reached where we have reached, and are and we have always worked in an environment where resources were limited. Our parents always had limited resources, but they always focused on our education and roti, kapda, or makan. And the consumer now is saying, let me carve out my savings, take advantage of the low rate of interests which are there because they are at the lowest, and let me buy a home which is my own. I can afford to pay a 15-20,000 rupee EMI. Let me buy a home anything between 40 lakhs to say 1 crore. That is a sweet spot depending on the market. And it's unfortunate that the GDP has fallen, but I think it will immediately recover after the lockdowns are lifted, like it happened in last year. Thankfully, this lockdown still had the Swiggies and the Zomatos of the world operating. It wasn't that strict lockdown. You could order stuff. Every market, like a Bangalore, said, okay, 6 to 10, you'll be open. The migrants did not panic. Construction was allowed. So there were learnings of the previous lockdown which were taken into account in this lockdown. And I think we all should be prepared for the third wave, if at all it has to come, and learn that how can we reduce the impact on the economy if at all we have to get into a lockdown. How can technology help us more? And somewhere the SMEs will have to think about newer ways of doing business. There will be consolidation because there is a segment which has got quite impacted. And however, the reality segment, the residential, see today, if you want to buy a ready to move in home, you will not find one, because in the last 1 year, the demand for ready to move home has been very high. So if you go out looking for something where, so supply demand mismatch which was there earlier has been handled. It is not there now. Now the demand is more, the supply is less, especially for the ready to move in homes, especially for homes which are nearing construction, where the development risk is very low.
Right.
So what will happen is new launches are still not happening. However, new launches will have to happen. Developers will have to change the way they look at business. They might not sell everything at launches. It will be a step up sale, and maybe 40-50% of the sale, which will definitely happen, will happen when the projects are nearing completion. Because the consumer today is a little wary to take the development risk unless and until you are amongst the top developers with great credibility.
Right. Yeah. Right. You mentioned rightly, this time the lockdowns were not so stringent. Businesses had already learned their, lessons from the first wave. They had kind of fine-tuned their business strategies accordingly. And, as you mentioned, home is not only a emotional but also a financial decision now, which works in their favor rather than renting out. Another major development that we saw was yesterday, Cabinet approving the Model Tenancy Act. And the projection is that about 11 million homes will come into the rental space market. Too early to say what would be the impact on the overall residential space, but as of now, how do you view this development?
So you are bang on. It is too early. Finally, it depends on how quickly the law gets passed, legislated, and what will be the enforcement of the law. Because what this will do is this will get a lot of foreign players who are into residential yield, who are into residential assets which yield returns abroad coming to India, because that is why they haven't been coming to India. You know, you look at Dubai, you look at US, you look at, you look at a place like Bar Dubai in Dubai, which is like, silver sands, golden sands, so many companies which only build residential and put them on rent. So this can be a very big development for that. Too early to say, because there needs to be ease of doing business. You need to get people in from abroad. Your taxations need to get simpler. You cannot have retro tax penalties on people. Your foreign investors need to get comfortable that yes, we can come here. Your political situation needs to stabilize. I don't think much will happen till the time there is more clarity on pandemic in terms of how quickly we as a nation get vaccinated. At least 60% of the nation gets vaccinated, say in the next 2 years. Multiple aspects which are there. Actually I've been writing about this for the last 5 years. It has taken them 5 years to come out with this,
Right.
right? So a great move, but I think this move is very late. We have to move into a developed economy kind of an environment, and we should make it easily enforceable and tell the world, including the Indian developers, which are fine. Tell the world that it's an easy place to come. The Chinese companies, the US companies, Southeast Asia, Korean companies, large construction companies, which want to come to India. And this can be a great segment because this can yield returns of 5 to 6%. And especially with fixed deposit rates at 3.5, 4%, you can understand that
Right.
any asset which gives more than 4% return and saves your capital will be a good investment from an asset allocation perspective.
That's right. Uh, Late, but better late than never. So, and as you mentioned, step in the right direction, and hopefully it will open up, Indian real estate, another segment, and also for foreign investors to come in organized market. We'll see the rental space. Coming to Bhartiya City, we all know it's a largest integrated township. This is coming up in Bengaluru. So the residential space that is coming up, the Niku homes and the Leela residences, what would you say are the distinct features for this residential space which is coming up?
See, quickly, let me tell you about Bhartiya City. Its strength is that it is well located with multiple access routes. Multiple high-speed access routes. You have the metro, you have the peripheral ring road. It is proximity. It has proximity to Bangalore International Airport. It has proximity to CBD, Whitefield, Tumkur. It's all about 25-minute drive from Bhartiya City to the center of, to any other place, whether it is east or west. Bhartiya City actually is now the center of New Bangalore. It is like the capital of North Bangalore. It's located what is turning out to be a vibrant city with plenty of F&B and entertainment options. It's become one of the best investment hotspots of Bangalore. We have a international school operational, which is now rated amongst the top 5 emerging schools in Bangalore. We are proven to give on-time delivery of our apartments. We are already home to Bhartiya City is already home to 2,000 families staying, and they all work in reputed global organizations. As you rightly said, we are India's largest integrated real estate development, boasting of already completed 20 million square feet spread across more than 150 acres. And last but not the least, we have a dedicated and an independent cutting edge IoT technology enabled facility management company for the city, which gives us an edge over others. If I talk about Leela, it is one of a kind of private branded residences. If I have to talk about the next private branded residence in Bangalore, that is 3 times more expensive. you know it is iconic Leela experience at home. House expert, concierge, personal trainers, chefs, highly competitive pricing. I can guarantee no private residence, a branded residence would be at a pricing like the one that we have, and that is why we are, more than 80% sold.
In
It is best
luxury
suited
with
for
value for money.
Yes, absolutely. Actually, I would invite you to come and see this place.
Yes, fantastic.
Best suited for senior living in the HNI category, state of art facilities like clubhouse, chef room, bar, library. Each apartment has decks. For example, the livability aspect. Each apartment has decks which opens on both the east side and the west side. Expansive, lush green, curated central parks, swimming pool, landscape amenity, and above all, you have a City community where we have the mall coming up, where we have the hotel coming up, we have a retail hub coming up, fashion, boutique, multiplex, cinema, IT park there with 3 million square feet done. And it is nearing handover. So there is no construction and development risk. So I think in this segment, this really scores very well, Shweta. Niku Homes again, the location in itself is the most prominent thing why it is doing so well. Property prices are again expected to increase for Niku Homes because of the mall and hotel getting opened. Actually, we would have opened the mall and the hotel by May, but then the lockdown came. One of the strengths of Niku Homes also is, which is located in Bharatiya City, is that there are two peripheral ring roads which are cutting across the property, which is on the left side it is Thanisandra main road, and on the right side it is Hennur main road. And as I said, everything is state of the art. Even on Niku Homes, which starts from say 40 lakhs going up to 2 crores, even a 40 lakh apartment has an Italian kitchen that we have given, because that's the promise that we are maintaining. Already, more than 4,800 apartments sold in Niku Homes. I do not have anything left as far as the unsold inventory is concerned. And it's right in between. The airport is just 25 kilometers from where we are, and the city center is only 25 minutes, and the city center is also 25 minutes. So the city has really done well with 20 million already built. And
That's right.
hopefully, let's see how we go about it in the
And
coming
that is what
times.
the buyers are looking at now. One is the location, and as you mentioned, that connectivity rather than the location. Now people do are not looking at a city center location. They want to be in a place where they
Absolutely.
can have some open spaces as well. But connectivity
Absolutely.
becomes very important, and also, as you mentioned, the value for money, is what everyone is looking at. So, what are the growth plans now for, you are looking at the residential business. So, in that terms, what are the business continuity plans given this background of pandemic, and also the growth plans for Bharati City?
So as you understand, I think the next 10 to 15 years, the residential demand is going to be there. It's a 130 crore plus country, and I'm sure it's unfortunate that our GDP, per capita income is not growing the way we expected, maybe because of the pandemic in the last 2 years. Otherwise, see, if we would have crossed the $2,500 mark, then the growth is very fast, and data shows that across the world, that the moment a country crosses the $2,500 per capita income mark, it's a tipping point. So obviously we are around 2000, a little less than 2000, but the residential demand is going to be high because people are going to prioritize buying their homes. And you rightly started the conversation that it is going to be the first time buyer who's going to kind of continue and give us the push. We are going to by the moment the lockdown opens, I'm launching a new project of Niku Homes, that is Niku 4, because it is very well received and we already have a lot of pent up demand for that. But I think we don't have much space left in Bharatiya City now, because we have a hospital coming up also. Now we will expand in the nooks and corners of Bangalore. We have acquired land and done JVs in North Bangalore. We have land near the airport. We have a land near Bharatiya City, which would be the next pit stop for launching a residential project. And then we are keen to go to west of Bangalore. This is Bharatiya City is north of Bangalore, to give you a perspective, which is towards the airport. So we want to we have some land within the north of Bangalore, which we will first go there. Then we want to go to west of Bangalore and then south of Bangalore also. And we are in discussions with a lot of people. A lot of deals have kind of happened, and I
And
think for the next 3-4 years we just want to expand within Bangalore, because Bangalore is one of the finest markets to be in the residential business.
that's
Very
right.
professional. Collections are on time. Most of the developers which are in Bangalore are very professional. The city has been creating a lot of jobs, lot of influx of people coming for jobs from across India. So a phenomenal place to kind of do the residential business. Compliances are good, governance is good. So next 4-5 years you have enough scope within Bangalore to kind of build 15 to 20 million of residential projects. And then maybe after that we kind of look at other cities.
That's right. Being the Silicon Valley of India, so I think there's a huge niche buyer market there to cater to, and everyone would be now looking at buying, as you mentioned. So all these launches that you mentioned, are we looking at 3-4 years, as you said? These launches would
Yes,
happen, these
yes.
expansions.
We are looking at a 5-year plan, and all this is something that we should be able to do in the next 5 years. One of the launches in Bhatia City will happen in the next couple of months.
Okay, okay, fantastic. That's good to know. Any, maybe 3 tips that you would like to give to the buyers?
Okay, my book just released, which is called The A to Z of Residential Real Estate, which has really been accepted with amazing response. Credai, Naretco, all the industry bodies, even Realty Plus has picked it up very well. It is a comprehensive guide for home buyers and channel partners and developers, but more for home buyers. There are 3 things. One is you need to be very clear, and I think you are an expert yourself, Shweta. Let me be very honest. That you have to look at connectivity, which is very important. And it is not necessary that you need to be in the CBD. You need to look at value for money. You need to understand the right price point, product design, and the livability of staying in a community which offers you you know which offers you a easy living. A hospital needs to be near, a school needs to be near, your workplace hopefully should be near. At times you can't control that. You need to have a retail hub near you. I feel that when you buy a home, please don't get into this super built up and carpet area, because this is a misnomer. Look at the livability of the house that you're buying. Does that home have light? Does it have air? Does it give you a positive feel when you enter into it? And if you get locked down into it for next 30 days, are you able to breathe properly and just feel at home? This feel at home is the issue that people did not feel at home, and that is why they wanted to buy new homes. So livability is more important than getting into the technicals of super built up and carpet area. How well the house is designed, because a home is a place which is your learning ground, which is your emotional breeding ground. And it is very important that it is in a community that gives you joy and happiness. Important for the home buyer to look at the right community they are going into, which has the right amenities, open spaces with good connectivity.
Okay, fantastic. So our viewers, what Mr. Ashwinder Singh is saying, livability is one of the biggest factor, because that is going to give you value for your money, and connectivity and open spaces is what you would like to be looking at, rather than the carpet area, and trying to uh, compromise on livability. So that is, the 3 tips we are getting from Mr. Singh for our buyers. Thank you so much, Mr. Singh. I know you are a very busy person, and thank you for sharing your time with us. And most importantly, thank you for sharing your views on some of the very topical issues of the time. So thank you so much, and it was a pleasure to have you here with us today.
Oh, thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me. And your questions were very pertinent, and you yourself a very learned journalist. So it was
Thank you.
very happy to talk to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you for
Singh.
this
Have a great day.
opportunity. Thank you.